So what we're going to do is we're going to look at something called Si Jing. Have you heard of that?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I would guess most people the answer would be no, unless they're in our Black Sash class. So Si Jing is, as best as I know, the literal translation is silk reeling. Si Jing, silk reeling energy. So, and the idea of silk reeling is if you can picture trying to pull a thread of silk from a cocoon, how it would rotate the cocoon while you pulled the silk away. So, I don't want to over-explain it, but basically what we're going to be doing is shifting and turning and getting directional linear motion out of turning the body. So really it's waist connecting to the hand, just a specific way. And this is a part of our chin style warm-up we do for the Black Sash class. So Si Jing, you'll probably hear it in other, if you read deep into Tai Chi literature, you could probably find other versions of what it means, but this is a specific exercise in our style of chin that we do. So first, just take maybe a little wider than shoulder width, go ahead and try, and go ahead and let both toes turn out a little bit, which is opposite of what you might think from chin style or from yang style. And it does one hand at a time. You can do both at once, but it's sort of advanced. So go ahead and take your left hand and connect it to the hips, to the waist. And go ahead and sink down a little bit so you're not on straight legs. Take your right hand and it'll be out just kind of like a cloud hand. And we are kind of doing cloud hands in a way, but it's a little different. So let's get real detailed on the weight and the shifting. Sink your weight down and turn your left toes out. Shift to your left and turn to your left. Lead with your fingertips, palm up, almost like you're serving something on your hand. So you can be done in bigger stances. I'm intentionally starting in a smaller stance for us. Now you might feel like you're kind of in a double dragons facing your left, and like you're doing, I don't know, some kind of move. Sink again, turn your right toes out, shift to your right, and turn to your right, and the hand also turns over. And there's a continuous turning eventually, but for now we'll keep it a little separate. So again, now it's going to repeat. Sink, turn your left toes out, shift to your left, and then when you turn, the right toes will turn in a little bit. It's less specific than yang, it's kind of adjusting as needed, but here's how it'll go. So you sink again, turn the right toes out a little, shift to your right, turn to your right, and the left toes will turn. Sink, shift, turn. Sink, shift, turn. Sink, turn. Sink. Continue a little more. This is really a little too slow for how we'll do it normally, but I just wanted to give you time to work through the details. Let's do it with a little breath and a little more quickly. So inhale, you're coming in. Exhale, you're coming out. Inhale. Exhale. Don't try to do your abdominal yang breathing. Just let it, for now, just let it be normal breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth, actually. And when you breathe out, you can let it be a sigh, like you're relaxed and your face relaxes. A couple more on this side. Let's even it out on the other side before we talk about some of the finer points about it. So, yeah, go ahead and switch sides. Go ahead and have your right hand and then your left hand. And I don't want to get into, there's so many tangents I could go off on. One of them is that this connected arm isn't just kind of hanging there, right? Try pulling the elbow in forward a little bit. See if you can get from this part of your hand connected there with the elbow in, a feeling of connection through the arm and across the back and even out to the other hand. We'll go the other way. Sink to the right, continue. A few more. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Okay. And release. So, what's going on in this posture, in this warm-up posture? It really is kind of like doing cloud hands. I don't know if you can feel that. It's got some different kind of dynamics going off, but it's like if you just did cloud hands on one side and didn't walk sideways while you were doing it. It has a three-dimensionality to it that you might not see. In person, I didn't see it for a long time, and on the screen, you especially might not see it for a long time. So it's not, just happening in this plane right here. It's got some depth to it, and some depth in syncing, right? So let me turn a little bit. Let me exaggerate it a little bit. It might remind you of the old Yang style question where when you're coming from like pull back, press, and push, it's like, do I actually come up when I come forward? Well, not really. Coming up would actually have a different feel to it. You do straighten one of the legs that was bent, which has the effect of raising the whole thing up a little bit, So the same thing's happening here, it's just alternating directions. I'm kind of coming down, and then I turn, and I don't try to come up, but I do straighten somewhat that leg on that side, so the whole body lifts, and then I re-sink and turn, and then the whole thing happens again on the other side. In the arms, in the hands, there's the feeling of spiral energy. So as you're turning, see if you can feel it twist, and there's a trick. Think of stretching your fingertips. And really, in this chin style, we work on stretching the fingertips for a long time. It's not the main focus when you start Yang. The main focus is relaxation, right? But this stretching through the fingertips while you practice really does something to the arms, the shoulders, to the connection, maybe akin to that whole like, nice to meet you, ward off sort of thing we do, where you just, actually it's very similar. If you reach to meet someone, you're automatically stretching. I know we don't touch each other's hands these days, but you're automatically stretching through the fingers a little bit. So let's practice a little bit more with, you could focus on syncing that footwork, you could focus on stretching through the fingers. I would say pick one, and or just whatever one in any moment captures your attention. So let's do it with the right hand again. And begin. I'm going to do what's good for my breath pace. You can go your own pace if you like. But it is an inhale when you're coming in, and an exhale coming out. Switch. Two more. So there's a little taste of some parts of chin style. That exercise comes up in the form, I don't know if this will be relevant to you or not, but just for instance, like a chin move like single whip. There are little bits of the Si Jing in it, and then some very overt bits of Si Jing in it. So I don't know if you saw right at the end there, but that was exactly Si Jing in one hand before we finish our chin single whip, which your eyes probably caught some similarities here.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments, suggestions in the room?
It seems like there's a little bit of, not quite windshield wiper feet, but it's that alternative.
Yes, very good. Yeah, so yeah, if you couldn't hear on camera, there was an observation that it's kind of like windshield wiper feet, and it really is, yeah. I would go ahead and call it, I'd say it is windshield wiper feet. And you will, that's one of the characteristics of the chin style, is that the feet will adjust kind of as they need to, but in a specific way, not just any way, right? In a specific way for the movement, right? So here we have, yeah, when you sink on one, the other goes out, and you'll find that it's connected to yang style, even though it's pretty different once you get that. All right, so we're at time, so let's go ahead and bow out our Master's Path training.
Bow to Senior Head Instructor.
Thank you, sir. Bow to advanced and intermediate students. Master's Path dismissed.